If you've ever found yourself buried in similar YAML files, each one just slightly different from the other, Kustomize is here to fix that. To follow along, make sure you have Kustomize installed. I've done so using Brew, but you can also download it directly from GitHub. Here, you can see we have our base and overlays folder. The base folder contains the set of common resources that we'll be using across our project, while the overlays folder contains application or environment-specific overrides. So let's take a look at our base customization. Here at the top, we have some boilerplate. I'm showing this because it might pop up in other customization files, but it's not necessary for you to specify these two pieces at the top. Next, we have namespace. You can use this to set a common namespace for all resources specified under the resources array. Next, we have labels. You can use this to specify common labels for the resources under resources, and common annotations does what you'd imagine it. It sets common annotations for all the resources. Let's take a look at our single resource deployment YAML. Here at the deployment level, we don't have any namespace, label, or annotation specified. So let's customize it. We do so running Kustomize, build, and then we pass the folder. And there we see our annotation has been set, label, and our namespace. An important point to note is to name your customization.yaml file, customization.yaml. Next, let's take a look at our overlays folder. We're going to take a look at how we can output multiple resources. As you saw, resources was an array. We're doing a relative file reference back up to base, which contains our deployment resource, and we're adding in a new one, ConfigMap, which is in the same folder. And here's our ConfigMap. So let's customize it. And there we see from two separate files, we have both of our resources being outputted at once. Next, let's check out how we can update our image using Kustomize. Here we see our relative reference, but our new piece is the images component. What this will do is find places where this image is being referenced, update the name, and optionally set a new tag as well. Let's customize it. For reference, here's our base deployment. Now, let's update its image. And we see that the image has been changed. Next, let's look at how we can patch resources. Down here, we have a JSON patch, which allows us to update very specific pieces within the deployment. So here, we're targeting our specific deployment using our name, the deployment kind, the API version, as well as the API group. Here, we have our JSON patch. At the top, we have OP, which stands for operation. In this case, we have two operations going, add and replace. Here, the path is referencing the exact spot in the deployment YAML that we want to update. Here, we're creating a path to env and then specifying the value. You can get a clearer visualization over here in deployment in the base folder. We start with /spec, we go down to /template, /spec again, /containers. We index into the list at 0, and then we are creating our env entry. Then we have the earlier option replace, which will replace the 1 with the 2 using the same indexing system. Here, I'm specifying multiple patches. You could have one, or you can have as many as you want here. And within the patches, you can target multiple different kinds of resources, or all resources of a specific kind. In this case, I'm just targeting the deployment. So let's see how it comes out. And here, we can see that our environment variable has been updated, and our replicas have been bumped from 1 to 2. Next, let's take a look at how we can generate things through Kustomize. Here, we have the patch that I just went over. In this case, we're adding in a ConfigMap reference, and we're going to be generating the ConfigMap using Kustomize. One of the ways we can do that is by passing in the name of the ConfigMap that we want to generate, and then specifying a file to pull the env values from. Here, we have the file in the configs folder, and here are our environment variables. Let's customize it. And we see our config map has been generated with a unique hash. This will change each time the config map is updated, and it'll look for this original name, my config map, and make sure that it's updated as well over here. And we also see that from our patch, we've added in our env from, our config map reference, and our new config map name. We use Kustomize to output a bunch of application YAML. So let's deploy one of the overlays. And we pipe it into kubectl, setting standard in, and let's apply. And we see we have our config map and our deployment. Let's describe it. And we see we have our config map. If you like the content in this video, drop a like. If you enjoyed and want to see more, please subscribe.